I am missing a tooth, and I heard that they are regrowing teeth in Japan, and I thought that sounds pretty relevant to me, so I'm gonna look into it. Regrowing teeth. Humans may be able to grow new teeth within just 5 years. Why can't teeth regrow themselves in the first place? Why is it that bones can regrow but not teeth? Teeth are not bones, although they're made of some of the same stuff, which is interesting. They're made out of the same material as bone, but they're not bone. Weird. This is saying an experimental drug. I would have thought it was something to do with like stem cells or something. Ferrets are diphyodont? Don't know how to say this word. Animals with similar dental patterns to humans. So they're experimenting on ferrets. It says if all goes well, they're hoping they could administer the treatment to patients between the ages of 2 and 7 who are missing teeth. What? Why? They go and regrow those teeth anyways. Why would you try to grow their teeth? The goal is to have the teeth growing medicine available by year 2030. So what the heck are they talking about medicine? They're just going to give you a drug and it's going to regrow one specific tooth? How is this not going to end with you just sprouting like a lot of extra teeth in your mouth in places where they shouldn't be? Because that's the thing. This is the important term, uterine sensitization association gene 1, which has been shown to inhibit the growth of teeth in ferrets and mice. They discovered a monoclonal antibody, usually used in fighting cancer, that disrupts the interaction between that thing and molecules known as bone morphogenetic proteins. Why would you say they discovered a monoclonal antibody and then say it's a technique? I don't think those words go together. So they're just hoping that if they can suppress this thing, which stops teeth from growing, if they can block that, then that will let teeth grow. I'm only like 2 minutes into this and I already have so many questions. Japanese researchers test pioneering drug to regrow teeth. These are the images of them practicing on the ferrets and the mice. Hidden underneath our gums are the dormant buds of a third generation of teeth. I wonder if that's the same for everyone? Because I've heard that there are people who will lose an adult tooth and then the third tooth will grow in. Is that just an anomaly or is that like everybody has that ability? Oh, okay, I see why they are aiming it at children. So the trying to help children with their permanent teeth missing from birth. So kids that have this hereditary condition where they can't actually grow teeth and they have wide gaps in their mouth. That's why they're aiming it at 2 to 7-year-olds initially. Like, what's going on with this hereditary condition? Are there actually like tooth buds in there that they can regrow? Like, would that not be? Why did they not grow in the first place? If the drug is aimed at sparking the growth of teeth buds that are already there, like if this hereditary condition is like there's no buds in the first place, then is it kind of pointless to give them the drug? I need to look into it more. The assertion that we have latent tooth buds capable of producing a third set of teeth is both revolutionary and controversial. Y'all know I love a good controversy. I think this is the guy heading it up, Takahashi. Takahashi. Oh, so they're just thinking that if you can grow your own tooth, that's better than getting in like a fake implant. And if it grows in the wrong place, you can just move it to a new place. It's better to have like a real tooth that you grew in your own head moved to someplace else in your own head rather than get like a metal implant or something, which I kind of agree with. Okay, I should probably write down some of my questions because I have a lot at this point. What exactly makes teeth different from bone? Do everyone have a third set of teeth buds? Shouldn't you wait until it's safe and effective to start testing it on humans? They said they're going to start giving it to human adults who have like one or more missing teeth before they give it to children, but they're not really concerned about whether or not it works. They just want to know if it's safe. Which I feel like if it's safe and then you change it to make sure it works, do you not have to check and make sure it's safe again? Can teeth be regrown? Edentulism, which is the condition that makes it so you can't grow all of your teeth. What does it mean when they say they're using a drug? Injection? Pills? How is that drug being administered? World's first tooth regrowing drug will be given to humans in September. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep looking into this and get back to you. Back in a flash. I'm back with those sweet deets. So just after I stopped filming this morning, I started watching this woman randomly about who says she regrew one of her teeth naturally using a combination of oil pulling and some other homeopathic things like mineral water and being healthy. And I was like, I mean, she's probably not lying about just like randomly growing another tooth, but how? Did she have another like third generation of teeth bud already in there and it came out? She also said that her wisdom teeth started growing back, which makes me feel like maybe this woman is just kind of some kind of freak outlier. Anyways, I might look into homeopathic remedies tomorrow because it does make me curious. Like I've heard good things about oil pulling, but the ability to regrow teeth, let me put on my skepticals. So my first question was, does everyone have a third set of teeth? Because they're making it sound like all of these little buds they're going to use to regrow teeth. It's like they made it sound like everybody has them. I didn't find anything using that query though, so I had to change it to this one. And then I was only getting either the stuff about that guy in Japan regrowing teeth, or I was getting like just your typical response about how everybody only has two sets of teeth, your baby teeth and your adult teeth. And then so I tried. So I don't know, somewhere in there I learned about hyperdontia and I looked into it. And hyperdontia is when you have extra teeth that might grow out of one side, or basically you just have extra teeth that just like randomly sprout out, and that's hyperdontia. However, it is super rare, and it's like less than 5% of people actually have it. So then I was like, where the heck is your evidence, guy? Show me your evidence for why you feel like people have a third set of teeth. That brought me to this article, and I learned about anodontia, which is a congenital condition that causes the growth of fewer than a full set of teeth. So this is like when people don't have a full mouth of teeth and they're missing, there's like gaps in their teeth just naturally. That's anodontia, and that is fewer than 1% of the population. So these are the people that he's wanting to experiment on, or he's wanting to give them new teeth. And then I looked around some more. I found this article by dentistry.co.uk, Tooth Regrowth in Adults, What We Know So Far. And this one seemed promising, but it was okay. They made it seem like regrowing teeth is old news, like it's been done a bunch of times with like RNA and stem cells and mineral regeneration. But then when I was looking at it, it's like, no, it hasn't. I mean, like people have tried to repair teeth or use stem cells to grow other things, but they gave me this link, tooth regrowth medicine, and I was like, oh, dentistry website talking about the guy in Japan doing these trials. Maybe they'll have some information. Nope, literally like a paragraph and a half. You're the worst. So this guy, Takahashi, is basically, he believes that humans once had the ability to grow a third set of teeth, but they lost the ability to generate the third set of teeth. But we still possess the buds. What does that mean, bud? So at this point, I kind of gave up trying to find any like actual useful information about how he's doing what he's doing, or like anything specific. And I thought I would look into stem cells instead because that seemed interesting. And it talks about it here in this article. So I found this one. I think that was this link right here. Whole tooth regeneration with stem cells, a realistic aim, study finds. So basically, they found that you could. The problem with these articles, it didn't actually talk about. I can't remember it talking anywhere about how if they actually regrew anyone's tooth, but they said like certain types of transplanted stem cells are often rejected. However, transplant rejection was uncommon when adult stem cells were taken from these sources. Oral and facial treatment was possible with. So it seems like they have not actually grown any teeth. They've just concluded that it is possible that teeth could be grown using these stem cell methods. And the best options are using stem cells from tooth pulp or umbilical cords, and embryonic cells were basically always rejected anytime you tried to put them in someone's mouth. And there's also the ethical concerns around taking cells from an embryo. I thought this was an old argument, but I guess it's still a thing. I don't know. So they're also looking into growing enamel back, these organoids that secrete proteins, which form dental enamel. All right. They also talked about how you could maybe apply a gel to a tooth sample, and then it would like create a new enamel layer in 48 hours, which is kind of cool. And the repair would be permanent. Good to know. Thanks for clarifying. This did sound pretty cool. Like if you could naturally grow a tooth outside of someone's mouth using like their DNA and pig teeth, which sounds kind of cool. But I don't know how far along they are on this yet. I keep losing my place. All these articles look the same. That's probably why. Somewhere in here it said that natural teeth are capable of withstanding chewing better than dental implants. There's that word I was looking for. Porcine cells. What's a porcine, you ask? Anything that resembles a pig is a porcine, which is new to me. Okay, so according to this article, pretty sure it's this one, The drugs that Japan is currently developing that use the RNA, the US, whatever it was that we talked about before, these are only useful for regrowing teeth of those children that were born without the ability to grow teeth at the beginning of their life. Like from birth, they couldn't grow teeth. So these drugs they're developing will help those kids get teeth. But they are not being developed to help people who have lost teeth later in life. They are kind of hoping that maybe this research will be able to kind of like translate into that at a later date. But in this point in time, it's not a thing, which is a letdown. All right, at this point in the process, I was like, I want to know a little bit more about stem cells because I'm not going to learn anything more about what they're doing in Japan. So let's look at stem cells. So stem cells are special types of cells. They can self-renew, which is kind of cool, and they can also become other cells that do different things in a process known as differentiation. They're found in all tissues in the body, and they're needed for the maintenance of tissue as well as repair. Um, for example, if a stem cell started out as like a nerve cell, and then it could, at some point in its life, be transformed into a liver cell or a blood cell or a cardiac cell, it could change places with any of these, which is kind of cool. And the reason people like to use embryo cells is because embryo cells can turn into any part of the body, but the problem with stem cells is that the older they get, the less like kind of flexibility they have and what they can turn into, and also the less capable they are of like generating new things. So once they get older, they kind of just stop being able to repair things or change into things outside their comfort zone. Feels a little bit like they're calling me out, you know what I'm saying? Had to move spots. So the reason people are interested in stem cells in the first place is because they can be guided into becoming something specific, and they can regenerate or repair tissues that have been damaged or affected by disease, which is like, I know from one specific use case, there was a guy I knew who was having a lot of hip problems. They injected some stem cells into his hip, and the stem cells were able to like help clean up the tissue and repair things, and he got like full mobility back in his hip when he was having like a lot of trouble with it. So, which is kind of a cool idea. This article was not really related, but it was kind of cool. Like, so like I was saying, stem cells get older, and as they get older, they stop being able to function as well. But they are doing stuff where they are rejuvenating old muscle stem cells, and the newer or like the younger they are, the better they are at repairing damages. So if you could find a way to like rejuvenate the stem cells that are already in your muscles, you could potentially like lengthen the lifespan of those muscles by kind of a lot, which is pretty intriguing. So bringing it back, how does this relate to actually regrowing teeth? So I think what they were saying is that you take a stem cell, you put it in like a missing tooth spot. The stem cell is like, hey, there should be a tooth here, and then it changes into a tooth cell and starts to grow a new tooth in theory. But I'm not really sure because that article didn't really talk about it. It's like, does do you just inject like a couple stem cells, like two or three, and that is enough to get the process started, or do you like need to feed it new cells, like new building materials, or is it just going to change everything that's already around there? Like, I don't know. I feel like I would need to look into it a lot more to understand what's going on. But it makes sense that the tooth pulp cells work better because they're already like, if you take a tooth pulp stem cell out and put it into a tooth spot, then it's already going to know basically what it needs to do. It's not going to need to change that much, so it doesn't need to be new and young. All right, continuing on the tangents, why are natural teeth better than implants? Because the article before was talking about how natural teeth can withstand chewing better than implants can, and I was like, what? Why? So here, dental implants, are they better than natural teeth? This study is on the survival of natural versus artificial and discusses factors affecting the survival rate of implants. And then they said in here, the survival and success rates of dental implants will never succeed the survival rate of healthy, clean teeth. But I don't know, I'm assuming that they explained this in the actual article, but I didn't have the actual publication, but I didn't have time to read it. Which is kind of a thing to say though. Implants will never be better than healthy, clean teeth. So they say that implants are an excellent treatment modality, but they must always be kept in association with complications. They are supposed to replace missing teeth only. They are not supposed to replace teeth themselves. So it's a very bad idea to pull out an existing tooth in order to put in an implant. So if you already have a gap there, like myself, an implant is an option. But if you have a tooth there, save it at all costs, I think is what I'm kind of trying to say. And then in that same vein, I looked into this article, Is an Implant Better Than a Tooth? And this guy had some strong opinions. Once upon a time, implants were considered to be the optimum replacement for a tooth. He says that is far from the case. A lot of the time this happens, peri-implantitis, which is a destructive inflammatory process affecting the soft and hard tissue surrounding dental implants. So it's bad news bears. And he talked quite a bit in this article about tooth movement of the tooth in the bone when subjected to loading. So I was wondering, like, is he talking about like over time, like the tooth will change locations in the mouth? Or is he talking about like when you bite down, there's a little bit of give in the bone and then it goes back to where it was before? I'm not sure. This guy, kind of similar to what the last guy was saying, seems to think that implants and crowns should be the last resort. Like he keeps talking about restoring teeth. When a broken down restored tooth has a load placed on it. Can't tell the difference between the restored tooth or teeth. I'm not sure what he's talking about restored tooth, because there was at some point he's like, if you can get a root canal, something else, do that. Don't have an implant put in. But I'm not sure what he's talking about restoring teeth. And I was running out of time. These people seem to think the same thing. A damaged or diseased tooth can't always be saved through root canal therapy. Can't always save it, but even imperfect natural anatomy is often better than an implant. So it seems like everybody is saying get an implant as a last resort, as a very last resort. Natural teeth are better is what everybody seems to be saying. Although, anecdotally, my own mother has an implant in her mouth and she loves it. She says she's never had a problem with it and she thinks it's great. So I think it's kind of just one of those things where like the risk factors are sufficiently high that like either it will get infected and cause like bad news bears in your gums, or it won't move with your mouth and it'll cause like adjustment alignment issues or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. Anyways, I will be back tomorrow with more sweet deets. Time to look into some homeopathic remedies. Can you regrow teeth naturally like that girl said she did? It's a little crazy, but she was ready to start pulling her own teeth that were starting to be like have cavities in them and just regrow them. Seems a bit extreme. The AI doesn't think so. Edit that query. Are there any documented cases of teeth regrowing naturally? Oh, this is kind of cool. Here they talk about bioengineering replacement teeth. That would have been cool to look into. This is a little frustrating. I feel like my search algorithm has kind of been tailored to like the Japanese researchers doing their stuff. Let's see if I can find this woman right here. This is the woman who said she regrew her teeth. I mean, she has a whole podcast on it. Do you have any resources, woman? Why would you have it translated into Hindi, though? Let me ask Betsy. Should we just look into oil pulling just a little bit? Oil pulling with coconut oil can transform your dental health. I've heard that basically this. It can get rid of the harmful bacteria in your mouth, but no evidence suggests it draws toxins from the blood or whitens your teeth. I don't think I've heard people say anything about it drawing toxins from your blood. I thought it drew drew bad things out of your teeth. Healthline, you don't seem like you're worth looking into. Colgate, no thanks. Let's look at what nature has to say. Bad science, oil pulling. Oh wait, this is the British Dental Journal published in Nature. If you don't know what oil pulling is, it's right here. You can pause the video and read that if you'd like. I'm making some broad strokes claims here. No evidence that oil pulling can prevent cavities or do any of the things they say it does. They feel like it might be more pseudoscience. I looked into oil pulling once upon a time because I thought it might be interesting to try. I'm wondering if what I was reading before was anecdotal evidence more than factually based evidence. Let's try Google Scholar. It's funny, this person said like sufficient scientific research has not been carried out to evaluate whether or not the effect, but then like the next sentence he says sesame oil will open new doors in oral healthcare, which this is an Indian journal, and I've heard that oil pulling is very popular in India. Maybe it originated in India. Preventative dentistry. Always better to prevent than to treat, right? Performed oil pulling for 45 days and their plaque and gingivitis scores assessed periodically. The differences were found to be statistically significant. Oil pulling is having dental benefits. So I don't know if anyone is actually saying that you should do oil pulling by itself without like brushing your teeth or doing any kind of other oral hygiene routine, but it seems like it could, in conjunction with like brushing your teeth, it could be helpful. Effective oil pulling on plaque-induced gingivitis. They used 20 adolescent boys with plaque-induced gingivitis. In this study, the oil pulling therapy showed a reduction in the plaque index. Oil pulling and the importance of traditional medicine in oral health maintenance. Why would you write a paper where the only goal is to review and highlight the procedure to be used with conventional methods? It's like they're hoping that it will specifically help out people in lower socioeconomic groups. But should the study not also be like seeing if it's effective and not just like how to do it? I think that about wraps it up for this video. Not really interested anymore. So hope you had a good time. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.